Today's AskReddit post. What's the weirdest thing you've done to get laid? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. Drove an hour each day to take my dog to a dog park because there were lots of gorgeous ladies there. I respect the hustle. I mean, gotta put yourself out there if you want to get some ladies. Accidentally asked a girl on a date that lived 1,000 miles away. I'd matched her on a dating app while on business, but didn't notice where she was from. We kept talking anyways, and I ended up securing the date. She flew out to see me. We dated long distance for a long while, and then I moved to be closer. We're married now. Congrats. Not many can make the long distance thing work. Chatted a lady online long enough she finally agrees to go out. Tells me ahead to pick her up as she trusts her dog to be a judge of men and wants her dog to meet me. No worries. Before I show up I smear some raw hamburger on my shoes. The dog loved me. Easy peasy. You two are insane. Good luck. I read books about Van Gogh, Gauguin, Cezanne and a few others to impress a girl. Did not get laid, but 25 years later had a blast at the Musée d'Orsay. Totally vindicated. Accidentally getting cultured has to be one of the best outcomes of trying stupid poop to get laid. Yep, I'm into architecture, female lead bands, guitar and piano, speaking other languages, travel, environmentalism, fitness, and outdoor activities for this reason. Ha ha ha. I pretended to be afraid of flying once on a plane because the woman next to me was hot. Got her number and hooked up with her later. Edit. Since people seem surprised this worked, I'm too over to on starting conversations with people on planes this way. The second I didn't ask for her number though. I respect the game and the outcome. Still not sure how that strategy worked. He seemed vulnerable therefore disarmed, which can be a way to have women engage with you. Hot girl said solving a Rubik's Cube is so attractive. So I took a whole weekend to learn how to do it. Couldn't wait to show her. When I did at school on Monday she said, oh that's cool. Didn't get any play, but now I can solve a Rubik's Cube in 30 seconds lol. She meant solving a Rubik's Cube is intercoursey when a intercoursey person does it. When I turned 18 in high school, this girl that never showed the slightest interest in me began to constantly ask to hang out. Every time we did, she asked me to buy her cigarettes. I did so, knowing pretty well that she was just using me to get her nicotine fix. We fooled around for several months, and then, you guessed it, she stopped showing any interest after her birthday passed. I wasn't upset. I knew the deal. I was just a glorified tobacco whore. Glorified tobacco whore. Never thought I would read this, but alright. r/brand sentence. Stupid college days. We would take my dog for a walk, would hook his collar to a fishing pole, let him run around, and when girls would and we would slowly reel him back in, and they would come talk with us. Early 2000s college was weird. Literally fishing for girls with a dog as bait. This man making 300 IQ plays. Getting into a cake baking contest. Are we gonna get a story for that? He put his cake batter in her oven. I read all the Twilight books. I got her, and it was super worth it. Literally in 2017 I would wear an unpadded bra and put wireless earphones in it to look like hard nipples. Hard nipples will never not be intercoursey. When they are shamed like the outline of AirPods, they sure aren't intercoursey. Tried to not get laid. It was only our second date, and I was like, I'm going to behave tonight. Drove her crazy apparently. I ended up getting laid that night. Our 7th wedding anniversary is in a few months. This has worked for me once also in college. Was like, I like you so much, don't want to move too quick. Boom. My dick has taken me to places I wouldn't go to without a gun. You owe this one. Ducking spoke to Meal Mayo. My FWB was on date that was super weird. She messaged asking me to come grab her as her brother while pretending to be angry. She was an hour away, so I left and kept calling her to make it seem real. Went there and made a scene and took her away. We then drove to a parking lot and she wanted to return favor with amazing intercourse. Get married. I was young and raised in religion and there was a girl I was head over heels with and we got married 6 months after meeting. It was odd and weird to say the least, but more like ignorant and stupid. The marriage lasted less than a year and I knew her less than 20 months total. I met my wife at 17 in college. I moved in with her and her mother after 2 weeks. I was essentially kidnapped. I'm 52 now with 2 kids. I'm still trying to escape. Now when PPL say I'm still trying to escape, it's usually sarcastic. I predict you have a wonderful family. BC, that's a phrase my granddad would use. Iced lol. Worked on myself for 3 years so I can be confident that I can maintain a healthy relationship. Definitely not the weirdest thing, but I used to have a pretty dumb and kinda slutty friend. Every time she would come over I would run upstairs to my room and pretend I was napping. She would always let herself in and come up to my room and hop in bed to wake me up. I got laid most of the time. I feel like if I was sitting downstairs with my roommates when she came over, it probably wouldn't have happened as often. There's this point in life where the proximity to a bed and a closed door increases the odds exponentially. This spoke to my soul. Followed an entire season of American Idol and sat through movies like Garden State and The Notebook over and over again. You could have asked me anything about that season of American Idol and I could have answered it. She had to miss a couple episodes because she had to work, so I recorded them and gave her a rundown when she would call me on her drive home from work. She'd come over to my place after work and we'd watch the episode I just fully described to her. It's the only season of that show I've seen, and I had never watched a single episode before I met her or after we split up. Me. But with American Horror Story and MasterChef. Wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. I used to hook up with a gal who liked to put AHS on while doing the deed. Concerning. I walked from Arlington to Dallas to lose my virginity when I was 15. I reached her house after 16 hours of walking. I didn't have money for a taxi, but had the money to buy condoms and a gym membership so I could wash my ass before heading to her house. I got there at like 4 AM. Got to her house at 4:30 AM. It was the most romantic thing anyone had ever done for her, a 15-year girl, and we had intercourse in her room. I was tired from walking for 16 hours just to get laid. She was tired from worrying about me all day. So we slept till noon the next day. When we woke up her mom said go get him cause she looked in the room to see 2 high schoolers cuddling in bed. She didn't give us a speech. I overheard her talking to my mom over the phone saying, if this boy walked 16 hours to duck my daughter there's nothing either of us could have done. And we both just laughed so hard. We spent the day together. Then her mom drove me home. She gave me a speech on the way home. My mom beat my ass for the first time in years when I got home. My god, the difference between black and white parenting is wild on Feo. Waited outside in my car for 45 minutes for her and her ex to stop fighting and him to leave so I could get in. I believe you. It's harder to believe she was in the mood after a long fight with an ex. I pretended like I didn't notice when her teenage kid stole my weed. After you laid the pipe, you should have said, you still stole my pot. But I ducked your mom. He laid the pipe and the kid smoked out of one. Had to send her kids to school every Thursday so I can have booty weekends, Saturday and Sunday. We were not committed to each other. I was 21, she was 30. It was strictly trading. Lasted for 7 months, then she got married again. Edit. She was and still is my neighbor. Flew across the country from a warm sunny place to a frozen tundra in the dead of winter. I once drove from Southern California to Detroit almost non-stop to have intercourse with a woman I used to work with. We had intercourse for about 4 hours. I got back in my car and drove almost non-stop back to California, though I never saw her again. It was well worth it. Some drives are worth it. I'm in a wheelchair and I butt scooted up a small flight of stairs into a non-accessible apartment while dragging my chair behind me. Being drunk, I didn't think much of it at the time. But let me tell you, the scoot of shame down the stairs the next day hits different. For my 21 birthday my dad took Virgin me to a brothel and bought me a lady. Parenting mistake 469. First he asked if I was gay. When I said no he said come on I have a gift for you. He meant well I guess, but not the way to lose your virginity. Jesus Christ I'm sorry. Lied to my friend that I needed a history essay on the slave trade, even though I worked in steel making. Told him it was a manager's course. He wrote me the essay. I claimed it as my own and give it to a girl I was chatting to who needed help. I got laid. The girl passed her essay/assignment and I kept it secret for something like 15 years till I told him during my best man speech at his wedding. You did not at the wedding too? What was everyone's reaction? Had to take a terrible train with a 1h long transfer in the middle of a field. Literally nothing there and back. You know, the way you worded this makes it sound like you got railed by a bunch of guys in a field for an hour. He got laid tough, didn't he? Drove from Belgium to Paris to meet a lady from Italy. We both traveled for hours to meet. That sounds pretty cool actually. I didn't get laid, but when I moved from middle school to high school, a girl I had a massive crush on told me she was going to sign up for the culinary class. I had no interest in cooking, but I signed up for it so I could have a class with her. She moved away about 3 weeks into the school year, and it was too late for me to switch out. So I ended up getting stuck in culinary. I loved it and did it all 4 years of high school. Hell yeah man. Take it from me. Women love men who can cook. Bought a trash can. My college girlfriend, now wife, told me she refused to officially date anyone unless they had a trash can in their bathroom. Looking back now it is a wonder how I didn't have one in there in the first place. But you bet your ass I drove to get a trash can as fast as I could. I guess I didn't just do it to get laid, but it was what kicked off our relationship. Pretended to be of Scottish origin, accent and all. Hit her with the old scene carnery. Hope he didn't ask her to sit on his face. PFFT. There is nothing you could do to distract me from this game of Street Fighter. She was able to distract me. I was polite to my friend's sister the first time we met. Later that night, she popped her bra off and put my hands under her shirt. Then, the 4th or 5th time we met up, she dragged me upstairs to her bed. Never flirted or anything the first night. I was just well mannered. That itself wasn't weird, but I'm still confused as to how that led to getting laid. Was I the first person nice to her? I'm lost to this day. Went on a date with her and her uncle. Which one was the better kisser? Jumped into a pool with my clothes on, reasoning the girl I was flirting with would invite me back to her apartment so I could change my clothes. It worked. The intercourse wasn't worth it, though. The intercourse wasn't worth it? In what way? She wasn't good in bed? You got her pregnant and are stuck with her? Her husband walked in halfway through? More details would be appreciated by my nosy self. I need more details too, please describe exactly what happened lol. Flew to China. Met a girl. She was heading to China to teach English about a month later. We had a good month before she left. She invited me to meet up in China to see Tiger Leaping Gorge. I went. Had the intercourse seas. Climbed a mountain, but the road was blocked, so we wouldn't have a way back. So we never saw the gorge. Met up a few months later in Phuket. Yada yada, were married with 2 kids. Met up a few months later in Phuket. So you said Phuket and got married? Pretended to be a Wiccan for 4 months. Still didn't get any. Too stupid to realize that she was lesbian in spite of many clues. Because I'm an idiot. I once pretended to be a history buff to impress a guy in my class who I thought was super smart. Turns out he was just a walking Wikipedia and didn't even know I was faking it. Lol. A guy I knew would go to parties and claim to be a student from this other university in a very select music program. Instant clout and got laid a lot. Until he hit on a girl from that music program who let him know loudly he was not from there. Lol. Body paint. But it failed. Learned to play I'm Yours by Jason Mraz on the ukulele for my friend's Hawaiian themed wedding and played it while the bride walked down the aisle. Mission was a success. Ended up hooking up with the maid of honor's sister. That's my favorite one here. Like realistic and believable, but still took effort. Help a girl fill out her FAFSA. Boy, I hope that was worth it. That poop is so annoying to do. In a public jacuzzi I listened to 2 hours straight of complaints by a middle-aged lady with a great body. She complained about being ghosted by some kind of clothes traveling salesman who is also a teacher of some kind of bullpoop Indian Brahma theories and guru stuff. I proposed a comparison with Vietnamese massages. Total improvisation on the spot. It worked. Attended a church camp in Marlate in my teens and I wasn't even religious. It worked. I hooked up with a pastor's daughter at a church camp one year. The stories are true. Pastors' kids are truly some of the worst. IDKY. Girl I like was sad about her friend, who was also single. The friend couldn't get a date to save her life. She wasn't ugly or anything, just had no personality, and was kinda gloomy. I told the girl I wanted to bang that I'd take the friend out and show her a good time. If the girl I wanted agreed to let me do the same after, she agreed to it. The friend was actually really fun. We went ziplining to a fair thing and capped the day off at the dog park with my pup, who didn't hate her, which was shocking. She got to pet so many dogs. She was thrilled. We never had intercourse, but I would have had she given me any signal. She was that fun. I went out with the girl I wanted to go out with a few days later. Made a plan for a few fun activities. When I went to her house to pick her up, she pulled me in, and we had intercourse right away. Didn't do any of the other stuff. I regret not ducking the friend. Or hell, dating her. The girl I wanted was not as fun in bed as I'd imagined she'd be. I can tell you the weirdest way I got laid. This was the military dorm in England, late 90s. I'm just playing StarCraft, minding my own business, when there's a knock on my door. I open it, and there's the girlfriend of a guy who lives downstairs. She say, I really wanna get laid, but my friend is here with me. Can she stay with you tonight? Naturally I said yeah. She turns and goes to the end of the hall and waves her friend around the corner. I'd met her in passing once in the dorms, but never spoke to her. She does a fast intro and pushes her into my room. We are both standing there kind of awkwardly as her friend leaves to go get laid. She turns back and says, oh, she really likes her bum smacked too. We look at each other and laugh, then close the door. It gets crazier because I become the de facto friend drop-off zone for the dorm. A sort of on-call wingman for my boys. I didn't have to do poop, and over the span of a year they brought me 3 more women. This is the greatest story I've ever heard. I used Google Translate to talk to a Brazilian woman in a dating app. She agreed to meet, not realizing that neither of us knew the other's language. Somehow, we managed to communicate enough to seal the deal once in person. I once posted a pic on my IG of this girl that I had Tinder DMS with, and this other girl slid in my DMS and was like *oh she's lucky. I later linked with the girl and we banged. I basically got laid because I posted a picture of a girl and another girl wanted to duck me afterwards. Lol. Easiest, most unorthodox way I ever got laid. I read all of Homestuck. I did not get laid. Pretended to not be my ethnicity. I was told she didn't date South Asians. She was a South Asian. I pretended to be Jose the Puerto Rican. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.